Welcome to Forged in the Fires podcast with Fireman Rob. Being a fireman, father, veteran, husband, world record holder, and Ironman, he brings stories of experience to impact your life while challenging you to live it. What do you want from your life? Why do you want it? Are you willing to go through the challenges to get there? If you have the courage to take that first step, let this podcast be the catalyst to start your fire, while you bring the resilience to make it continue to burn. Our lives are made up of moments called right nows. So let's get started. Forged in the Fires podcast with your host, Fireman Rob, begins now.
All right, welcome back to Forged in the Fires podcast. I'm your host, Fireman Rob. Today's guest, well, this one is a fantastic episode because I need it for myself, as well as I know a lot of other men out there looking for that purpose in their life. They're looking for that empowerment. This gentleman, we were talking before, and he created a curriculum for himself, and it is translated into changing lives. He has a podcast. He has a mastermind. He has retreats coming up. I saw that. This gentleman has a passion for helping others, and at the same time, it's helping himself. Ian Lobas, how are you doing today, sir?
Oh, great! That was a great intro.
I wanted to have. I'm reading all this stuff, and I'm going through all your stuff, and it's just so powerful. And like the first time we talk, it's like we've been long lost friends here.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of get into, you have a great Men on Purpose. It's a fantastic program that you have. You go into it. Let's dive into what we were talking about before. Like, you created this for yourself.
Yeah. I am I still am a naturally defiant person. Authentically defiant, actually. Authentically defiant. And I say that because my guys that are listening, they're going to be like, oh, there's a difference between the natural self and the authentic self. And we can get into that later. So I am authentically defiant, and it has benefited me greatly, and it has been a major detriment, and the benefits outweigh the detriment. And I really enjoyed coaching programs in the past. And I found myself being obsessive and working through them very quickly and realizing there were a couple things missing. And one of those was sustainability. And I didn't like that I kept cycling back emotionally, that maybe I learned these new skills and I practiced them for like a couple months. Yet when things got challenging or when the pressure was on, I didn't have something that I could go to that was ready for that moment. These exercises were more like conceptual and kind of ideas that, hey, try this, try that. And I thought, can I just find a coaching program that has a curriculum that they work you through that's proven? And I did. I found some, and most of them honestly sucked. And it was the coaches that were very powerful. And I realized I was coaching people at that time, and I don't want to be that type of coach that like it's all about me. I wanted it to be about my curriculum, and that I'm the guide through the curriculum because I'm the guy that worked through it, and I can kind of lead you through those dark woods because I've already been through them.
Right.
And then the other thing that the defiant me really did not like was that almost all the coaches that I've had over the years, when I would begin to ask them, probably starting in like 2014, I would ask them, like, how do you measure this? How do we measure my growth? Because I've been with you for, 5 months. I've spent, one of the guys like 20 grand, it was $4,000 a month. And I think the coaching's powerful. However, today I feel amazing. Yeah. And then tomorrow I might feel like crap if something external happens. How do I measure my internal growth? Right. And that I complained to a lot of people about until one coach fired me from his program and said, this is gonna be the best thing for you, man. I think we don't need to coach anymore. And I think you need to go figure out what you're looking for. Yeah. And I think he did it like thinking, good luck, dude.
Yeah. Like kicking you away to the curb.
Yeah. And I just took that fire and let the defiant one run. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to set out to build a program that's quantifiable and measurable for internal growth, so that when men have these, most of us are affected by the outside world anyway.
Yeah.
When the outside world starts pushing down, like, how can I build a program that helps them free themselves of internal restriction and constraint, so that the outside world can press as hard as it wants, yet they still confidently know that they have grown, because it's measurable, it's quantifiable, it's there on paper, they can see it, regardless of whether they feel it. Because I wanted to separate my crazy feelings and emotions from actual evidence of growth, if that makes sense.
That's huge. Oh, that's huge. Yeah, that's huge for people to do. I mean, one of the statements I love that you have in here is, no one can make this happen for you. It's up to you to lead from within. Mm-hmm. And that's, it's so powerful. There's two parts of that, because I know for myself, going through my struggles and my dark places, that, each person has a different way of getting through this. So how does that quantifiable evidence, how does that strengthen you from within? Is that confidence that they're gaining?
Yeah, there's three things that guys gain. I call them the 3 C's. Is clarity, confidence, and courage. Mm-hmm. And they're gaining those things from having a structured, systematic, supporting, sustainable curriculum. Right. And I'm obsessed with it. And it is crazy. Yes.
You have to be.
And I believe that my purpose on this planet is to empower men to free themselves of internal restriction and constraint. Like, that's my mission. 10 million men. And when that happens, think about what the world will look like. I mean, that's what I dream about. And so I also have had irresponsible coaches that either just kind of grab stuff from other people, which, by the way, we're all influenced by others. So, everything that I've built is my own. However, it's got influence from other things that I've learned along the way.
Right.
Or worse of all, they're not doing the actual work that they're telling you to do, and they're not actually putting themselves to the basis, right?
Oh, so true. So true. That's seen so much in this. I love one of the guys, Hugh M, says about you, the guy is a full spectrum of what you need.
Yeah, I know.
No, that is a statement in and of itself.
Yeah. He said to me, one time we were on the phone, he's a great guy. And he said, are you crying? And I said, yeah, man, like I'm really feeling this connection. I'm really feeling you. And I'm so happy for you, man. Like, this breakthrough is just making me feel so happy.
Right.
And that's where that came from. When I asked for testimonial, it was like, you're busting my balls on a daily basis. You're texting me on Sunday at 11 p.m. to make sure I did the homework. And now you're crying with me in the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, I really appreciate that. Thank you for showing me that you can be tough and you can also be very vulnerable, and it's still very powerful.
It's that human part of being a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so, and I love that you have a podcast that too, that are, you're delivering so many different avenues for men to be able to not only visually see, but also hear the words from other men who are challenging life itself. What has that podcast meant to you to be able to deliver that? I mean, you have, 290 episodes?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's I'm super proud of it, and it has been a major catalyst for the man that I've become. And I'm very careful and aware of my language around that. Like, there is an accountability and a confrontation, not in like a negative way. There's a confrontation that you're going to face, and the world's going to hear you. And so one of the breakthroughs I had to have was, I want to be able to speak openly and honestly, and also be very educated, not because I care about what people think, because I have a responsibility to educate, right? So elevate, right. Educate, empower, enrich, and evolve men to be on purpose. That's what the podcast's mission is. And I knew that I had to level up who I was. So look, everything we do is us. Every result we have is us. And the more you blame and the more you pass judgment and the more that you make excuses, the longer it's going to take you to get to that ideal place that you know is possible. And so for me, the podcast was a very heavy and scary accountability partner, if you want.
I hear you there.
I didn't want to just be another guy that, for my ego, I opened a mic and just started talking to satisfy myself. I wanted to make sure that I had those 5 E's present on every episode. By the way, I record probably 65 episodes a year, and only 50 make it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so I'm super, super careful, aware on the message and the mission. And if the man on the other end of that screen and that line is in alignment with that message and the mission, I think in the beginning I made some errors in judgment, and then I'm very careful with who I bring on, because I want to make sure that every single episode I can honor my commitment that they will get those 5 E's from every episode in some capacity, whether it's one little morsel or, they're laying in a room like blown away by a whole episode. Who knows what it is for them? I just need to know that I delivered that. And so it's been a hell of a journey for me.
How powerful was that to make that determination? I mean, that's a real concrete line that you're drawing. It's not even drawing in the sand. You're literally putting that shoe print in that and that wet concrete and saying, this is it.
You know what though? To the listeners, it wasn't some master plan. It was, again, my crazy, authentic, defiant brain when someone said to me, like, there's 2 million podcasts about. When I got Men on Purpose, by the way, I bought Men on Purpose. It had some episodes, and it was a piece of junk. It was going nowhere. Okay. The owner literally said, who was a woman, by the way, said to me, "Hey, this isn't going anywhere." The episodes are like 20 minutes long.
These guys aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, and she said, "I'm going to mothball it. Do you want to buy it?" And at that point, I leaned onto my phone and I Googled how to buy a podcast, and Google came up with 0 results, which is weird. And
what year was this?
2020.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So I've been hosting podcasts before that for real estate, which I didn't love. I just got a lot of experience from it. And I wanted to do more personal growth stuff around the topic of real estate. So when the universe delivered this podcast to me and this name and this brand, which I built everything that you see, like I can tell. It was a name. All I got was the name. I paid a lot of money for the name. Wow. And I started getting advice from people that I trusted. I actually was on stage speaking at a podcast convention in San Diego, and that's how I met the lady who actually sold me the name Men on Purpose. And ironically, right?
Yeah, that is ironic.
Yeah.
What was her? Did you ever ask her what her mission behind it was?
I mean, it was on the website. Like I didn't believe any of it though, honestly.
Oh, that's crazy though.
Yeah. There was a misalignment. There was a lot of inauthenticity there that I felt and noticed. And I knew that the universe had put this in front of me and that I needed to work for it. And it was something that would help me align with the most authentic me, the me that's, like the me that's supposed to be doing what I'm doing and actually align with my purpose and my mission in life. And so I worked really hard to get it, and I asked a lot of opinions, even at that convention and afterward in some of the mastermind groups I was in. What do I do? What should I do? What do you think I should do? How do you build a podcast from scratch? How do you do this? Yeah. And everybody said, focus on monetization, focus on your downloads. Oh, no. And honestly, because I don't like that, I don't like.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
Right. I don't like when somebody, and by the way, they could be completely proven. And if I have a gut feeling that they're not right, I'm throwing it out and I'm just going to go with my own. And I know that hurts me and I know it takes me longer and I know it costs me more time and money. I'm put on this earth to figure things out, not just to like improve.
You're real. You're real. What during that process, I gotta ask you this question because it's going in my mind. During this process, like when you're buying this or when you're going and you're telling yourself that, I need to be a better man. What was the family aspect? Because that's a huge part of it, right? Huge. Yeah.
A couple of years before that, like 5 years before that, I was not a great man, not a great husband, not a great father. My daughter was brand new. I'd been married for a couple of years. And I think like a lot of men out there, money and success justified my value to the world. And I was terrified to step out. And, although I was an entrepreneur and I was, or still then I was an entrepreneur and I was running my own real estate business and doing real estate sales, which seems like a lifetime ago, man. It seems like so weird that I used to be a real estate agent. But like,
it's way down on that list of things that you did.
But if not for that real estate, and honestly, I will give the company that I worked with, or the broker that I worked with, Keller Williams, for a very long time. I have nothing but good things to say about what they taught me about personal development and about building a business. And what I have today, some of the things I learned from very early on classes that I took, I still apply today. So I'm very grateful for that time. Very grateful. But I was not the man that my wife needed me to be, and I was not the father that my daughter needed me to be. And my daughter was really young, like 6 months old. And there was a point in time which my wife said, I gotta go. Like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for you to be disconnected and distant and, mean and aggressive and like only focused on the money. And I thought, but that's my job, is to provide, and I'm providing at a very high level. So why isn't everybody happy? But the problem was that my professional skills and talents were not transferring to my home life. And that was frustrating, really frustrating.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great way of saying it, because I think a lot of people look at that and there's a lot of stressors around that. When somebody comes into the program, right? When a man comes into your program, how long does it usually take for them to, because I'm sure that your realization, it took a while. For me too, it took a while to really authentically own what my problem was.
Right.
How long does it usually take? I know it can range, but like, what do you see when somebody comes in? How open are they to that process that, hey, I've got to own this?
Most guys that come to me who hear me like on the podcast or who have seen content or seen me speak somewhere, they understand what they're getting into with me.
For better or for worse.
For better or for worse. And they and in terms of like, they understand my directness. They understand that I have formulas that we run everything through so that it's quantifiable, right? This plus this plus this equals this. If it doesn't equal that, then change the formula. Don't feel weird and don't get emotional. Just change the formula. So I think there's a lot of that confrontation piece that guys need to be ready for. And confrontation is, again, not a negative thing. It's not with me. It's with themselves. They're going to be very confronted. Our process, our main formula is called the purpose-driven formula, which is illuminate, eliminate, calibrate equals acceleration. So there's no more grind and hustle. Wow. And guys sometimes have trouble with that. And they're like, why do I have to learn about all this stuff in myself? Why can't we just get to work? I'm like, this is the work. If you don't illuminate every corner of the dark room, then you're wandering around in a room not knowing that there's a pitfall or a hole in that dark corner, and you're going to fall down it. So there's a readiness that a lot of guys have. The reason why our mastermind is a 12-week program is because sometimes it takes a couple weeks for them to just wrap their head around the fact that this is really going to work. And that I think there are some guys out there that are information addicts that really like to just try the next thing. They don't like to actually do the work. Our program is not like that. It is designed to weed you out very quickly. I have not had that many people get weeded out. However, there are people that I have to call and say, hey, this isn't for you. You go to UPW, which is a fantastic program, but it's more for the surface level stuff that you can just kind of pick up on and start taking a little bit here and there. If you were looking for massive, like axis shifting change and transformation, that's our program. If you work it, there's nothing I can do to help you. I'm just a guide, right? I'm the guy that built the program. I'm the guy that guides you. I can't do the work for you. So if you don't show up to the calls after having done the work, you're now a week behind. And some guys just don't like that. They want instant, because that's what we're trained in our society, is instant. So
right. I love that philosophy. Yeah. I mean, that's huge. It's hard, obviously, for people to wrap their head around.
Yeah, well, there's things that they have to confront about their past that are scary as shit, and they've been honestly hiding from them and avoiding and escaping from them, like for 20 years, 30 years. They've been using whatever we call them angles of avoidance, whatever angle of avoidance you want. It could be drugs and alcohol, sex, gambling, porn. It could also be guys use work, right? That's workaholism is just as dangerous, if not more, because it affects so many other aspects of your life. And then there's also angles of avoidance like culture and economic status and things that you use to avoid dealing or leave yourself pigeonholed. I live in Los Angeles and there's multi-cultures here.
Oh boy.
And it is an incredible city.
There's a lot of poles in that city though.
A lot of what? Holes?
A lot of poles in many different directions.
Yeah. It's my favorite city in the world. I love this place. And there are people here that I meet that'll say to me, people in my culture don't do that. And I'll say, what the fuck? What does that mean?
Yeah.
And they'll go, we don't do that. And I'll say, an entire culture of people doesn't share their feelings. Are you nuts? How can you stop yourself and limit yourself like that? So there are those aspects that people go, oh yeah, your drug of choice or your escape of choice is alcohol, or your cope of choice is alcohol or drugs. Your cope of choice can also be making excuses around your neighborhood, your house, your height, your sexual orientation, your culture. And I want people to think about that. I'm not being derogatory. I'm saying, think about how many limitations you place on yourself based on these external things that you say make you up, yet they're just identifications. They don't actually make you. They're just identifications, and they're actually limiting you.
Now, do you see when that was an interesting statement that you made with the cultural, like, it's hard for me because I do some coaching as well. And it's always interesting because people try to put so much of their environment into that excuse. Like you're saying, like, how do you get around that cultural thought process, or just like, hey, in this environment, I can't do that.
Yeah, it's all a formula, right? Everything has to be quantifiable, because in that moment, the average and even above average coach may be stumped or may need to just continue talking to you and talk you through it.
Right.
Which means they need to make you believe it, which is not what you need. You need to believe it and be self-discovery, right?
So true.
The coach's job as a development coach is to give you the proper tools for you to self-discover. So in that moment, we check in with the result of the formula, okay? Because everything's a formula. Environment is a part of the life. We call it the MOP life formula. Environment is one of those pieces. Culture is one of those pieces. Whatever else you limit yourself with is one of the pieces of the formula. Now, what we look at is the current result you have, and then we look at the formula. And we see that you blaming your culture, or you blaming alcohol, or it's your wife's fault, or it's your parents didn't raise you like that, whatever your formula is, that got you the result you want. Now, if you want to keep telling me about this cultural thing that you've been living with for your whole life, then I look at the formula and I go, cool. So are you expecting this result or that one? And they go, oh, I'm expecting the new result. And I go, great. Well, how do you expect the new result when the part of your formula that has gotten you the current result is still present? So we have to remove that part, test the theory. If we get the new result, we now know that that was a part of the formula that no longer served you and no longer worked. And when we removed it, now the formula works to get the results that you actually want, right? Which is the life you want, or the money you want, or the relationship you want, or the six-pack abs, or the father you want to be, or the husband you want to be, whatever it might be. Everything
six-pack abs, what are those?
Right. Everything is super formulaic. And that way there's no emotion. There's no, I feel like this works. You either know it does or it doesn't. No gray area, right? We are. I said to one of my guys, this is just for men, man. Like, there's no gray here. We're not using the touch of gray. We're using the beard dye. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, I love it. So it's not a touch of.
In that respect, when there's no gray, and gray is emotional registration, your emotions are happening from the past beliefs, programming, traumas, whatever you have, patterns from your past. And when you feel something in the present moment, like, I kind of feel like that's the right thing. You have no idea that that's the right thing. You're just going with a feeling. Yet, how are you supposed to trust your feelings when you can't show me a provable series of experiments over time that has led you from that feeling to a result you want. So again, everything has to be scientific. So my guys get very confronted by this because it's like, hey, if you want change and transformation, we'll give it to you fast. It's just how fast can you actually get out of the way for the change and transformation to happen? That's the biggest thing for my guys.
Now, have you ever seen, has there been a moment or a thing or a characteristic or an aspect that hasn't really been able to fit into that equation? That's kind of that anomaly.
No.
I love that.
we don't use the words never or always, because that is not provable. I can guarantee you that if you said I never do that, I can find a time in history where you did, and then your theory is completely done. Just think about that. When you say I've never done that, and I go BS, guaranteed I can find a time when you did. Now your entire theory is gone, and we start from scratch here. So I can tell you that there isn't anything that let me figure this out how to phrase this carefully, or I'm gonna get flack from my guys. The answer to your question is no. Literally whatever you put in the formula inside of one of our formulas, there's 50 of them. Whatever you put in, and by the way, they all meet you where you are. All the exercises are formulaic and they all meet you where you are. Like whatever you put in, you can work yourself through without emotion. You can absolutely work yourself through, because what we're dealing with is just the basics of the human, right? Want to be liked, want to be loved, don't want to be cast out. It's the basic human stuff, basic human fears. And what we're really talking about is the stories that people tell themselves around the stuff that happened to them, or the events that have taken place. And the stories are all made up by the emotional registration and the programming and all that stuff. So there's really not one example yet from either end of the spectrum, like ultra traumatic or just super simple, that the formula hasn't been able to solve quickly.
That's a huge aspect. So like hearing that's an automatic trust aspect.
Huge.
Because
it's
confidence.
To be able to trust it. I want these guys to know that this work that they're committed to doing will get them the results they want, and they can trust themselves, me, the exercises, and the process. Dude, it's huge. It's been my obsession. It's crazy. If you saw my desk right now, it looks like a mad scientist with the stuff that I'm writing on printer paper and podcast notes and like little exercises I'm making. And it's important. I didn't want people to come in to this promise and be disappointed. Like if they're disappointed, it's on them. I know for a fact that this stuff is massively powerful and it works every time if you work it.
I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah. And it's taken me a long time to build that kind of confidence. And that, like I said, those 3 C's, clarity, confidence, courage, that's really courage that you're hearing, which is like, built from confidence internally. The courage, I feel, is like the external piece. So yeah, man, it's been a hell of a journey over the last 3 years to build what we've built. And I mean, just the future of what we can do for the men of the world is, it's really inspiring and exciting. And I'm super grateful to have aligned with this purpose.
It's amazing. And I think, what you just said is powerful because it provides that trust. But then the other part, like we were talking about earlier, is all these things that you're doing are helping you to continue to be that man on purpose, that better man for your family, for your wife, for, society. How does that bring forth that drive? I'm getting chills thinking about it, because it is that passion, that love behind it, and that continued improvement that you're doing in yourself with this stuff that is so powerful. And when somebody comes in, you can go, I'm going through it too. How powerful is that for you?
Huge. I think I rag on bad coaches, inefficient, kind of misaligned, inauthentic coaches a little too much. So I'll be gentle.
Don't be
I just
gentle.
feel really passionate about that.
We're not gentle here.
I'm not talking trash. I'm being I'm being educational in terms of, look, you don't have to come to me. You don't have to come to Rob. We just want to open your eyes to what's possible out there. And I feel this immense obligation and responsibility to bring guys this type of coaching and type of program that like I wanted. And if I was going to complain about it, then I needed to do something about it. And I think the world, for the most part, especially in this country, we learn this blame culture and this blame game that, like, how could it be my fault? I'm late because of traffic. Like, how could it be my fault? And you go, oh, okay, all right. And I fell into that for a very long time. So it makes me feel incredible that not only have I built something really amazing and extremely effective and quick, effectiveness for men around the world, because it's really human based, so it can work for women too. Right. It's just I feel drawn to help men. I really love the integrity that I have toward the commitments that I've made to this business and to my kids and my wife and my family and myself, really. Yeah. And it hasn't always been like that. And I have been known to be a self-sabotager in the past, like many, many men are. And I wanted to be an example. And when somebody says, like, do you ever slip? I can say, yeah, and I'm cognizant of the slips. Like, it's not like I woke up and smoked a carton of cigarettes. It's like, if I decide to do something that is on my no list. Yeah. Like for instance, this year I said, I'm just not gonna have alcohol. And in the beginning of the year, I had a couple drinks with some friends, and then I said, and I allowed myself to do that. And then in June, I had a medical condition like worsen, and I thought, okay, here are the things that won't go in my body anymore. And then I let the obsession kick in. Remember, I built a habit of getting obsessed over things for a very long time, and it's healthy because I can stop it. I had OCD huge. When I was a kid, and I learned how to channel the obsession and then get out of it. And then, like my cat passed away last Sunday. And it was rough, man. Like, honestly, probably the roughest I've ever experienced emotions. Like, no joke. Sadness like I've never felt. Hurts I've never felt before. And we went out afterwards. Like, we left the vet hospital, and we went out. And my wife and I and my daughter were like in shock. And my parents were home with my son. And I was like, here, let's go get something to eat. Like, let's just talk about him. Let's look at pictures of him in the car and let's chill. My wife got a bottle of wine, and she's like, do you want any? And I said, you know what, I'm gonna talk through something real quick. And I said, I'm gonna have a drink with you because I want to have a drink with you, not because I'm using alcohol to cope with my emotions or hide from them. I'm gonna cry with you, and these are the commitments I'm gonna make. And I'm also deciding to have a glass of wine with you. And I wanted to be clear on that. One, for my daughter to hear that. And two, just for myself, like, I can have this if I choose to. I just want to be clear with myself that I'm not doing this to run from my problems or my feelings. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to feel every bit of what I'm doing here. And I also wanted my daughter to not see a pattern or a behavior of like, hey, stressful, emotional, get some wine. I did not want that. So again, I felt sort of an obligation to make sure that there was a lesson. And that's just that integrity that I have as a coach, as a mentor, as a leader, as a model of a man on purpose. It's kind of helped shape my life and in a really good way, I mean, so I can't go out and do some of the crazy things I used to do, which are total break in integrity, Yeah. It's just,
but you've done them and did that. And you also at the same time have that greater perspective of why.
Yeah. 100%. I want Rob, real quick. I want to go back to something on the podcast, just in case there's guys that are looking to start podcasts, which, by the way, you better get started quickly, like today, because there's like 4 or 5 million podcasts out there now.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yes. When I was in defiance mode to all those people that had all these different ideas, monetization and all this stuff, and I was like, no, I don't feel that. That's stupid. And I said, I'm going to focus on the message and the mission. That's it. The message and the mission. Yep. We help people figure out who they really are and why they're really here. That's the message. And the mission is elevate, educate, empower, enrich, and evolve men to be on purpose so they can live the most fulfilling, authentic, and regret-free lives possible. That's it. So I wrote that out, and I said, every guest will be based on this. Everything I say will be based on this. Everything I allow the guest to like be aired will be based on this. And I don't censor any of them, by the way. I just choose the guests really intentionally. Right. Like I followed a message and a mission, and that message and mission have evolved over time, and they're still the same, pretty much the same thing today. They've just evolved as I've evolved. So I'm still educating, elevating, empowering, enriching, evolving guys to be on purpose with their growth and their language and their environment and their marriage and their childhood. Like it's all the same thing. Just, I'm a more evolved guy talking about it.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah. Make sure you go to menonpurpose.net. You can find all of the podcast, the mastermind, and the retreats that are coming up in 2000. They're coming up soon, right? Yeah, spring. We're gonna have a lot of them. There's a lot of people on the waiting list, and some will be in LA, some will be in Arizona. It's gonna be a lot of fun. That's huge. That's huge. I appreciate you coming on today. I always end with 3 questions. Are you ready for those? Of course. All right. If you could go back to your 18-year-old self and give yourself one piece of advice, what would that be? Can I use foul language? Oh, yeah. Slow the fuck down, dude. Slow the fuck down. Slow down. Yep. That's a good piece of advice right there. Is it not just in the car, right? No, it's stop running so fast toward. And stop running so fast from. Slow down, face your demons, face your fears. Be careful, be aware, be intentional of where you're going with your energy, with your talent, with your effort. Slow down with the people you're hanging with and chasing after these opportunities. Slow down for a second. Great piece of advice. All right. If you could, now the other part is, if most people are going through challenges nowadays, and they always are going to go through challenges. What is 2 habits that you would say that they can incorporate into their life daily, whether they do it in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, whatever it is, that they can continue to move forward? What would be 2 habits that you would say start to incorporate? Jeez, there's a lot. I think the first one that comes to mind is make intentional time for you. Got to make intentional time for you. You have to put you first. Whoever's listening, I want you to go look at your schedule, and I want you to see where you fit in. I'm going to tell you right now that 50% of the guys listening to this, if you look at their schedule, it won't have anything about them on it. And it might have like go to the gym or take a run. That's it. So you got to put you first when you're mapping out your schedule, whatever it is, Sunday, Monday, whatever it is. You start with personal. You start with you. You got to put you first. You got to put your wife second. You got to put your kids third, and then everything else fills in the rest of your time. Yep. The other one, I think the other one would be slow down. Like, don't be so busy. Don't be so busy avoiding. Like, just think about, and slowing down has so many different things. Slowing down is taking time for yourself. Slowing down is don't be running so fast after building something you think you need to build. Slowing down has so many things. Slowing down and being present and silent for a second, just to process what's in your body and feel that for a second, and not run so fast and do so much. I think I'd be a billionaire by now if I really incorporated that at 18 and knew what I knew now. Down, yeah. Oh yeah, by far. I mean, there's so many things that we're so busy with, and sometimes it's just busy work to, like you said, to avoid. Yeah. This last one's going to be exciting. I don't know where you're going to go with this one. So if you could have coffee with 3 people, they can be deceased or alive, at a firehouse table, which in essence, you can ask any question that has to be answered. Who would those 3 people be and why? Jim Carrey would be first. Yeah. You don't want him having coffee. No, I think he's one of the most authentic humans in the world. Oh, by far. I think he's one of the most dialed in, switched on, just calibrated in energies out there, like massive talent, changed the game, like just incredible dude. And I'd love to have him on my podcast. I put it out to the universe. I've made the tiles. I made the show notes. Like I made everything up. Awesome.
I think one day it'll happen. I mean, I live like 2 miles from his house, so maybe one day we'll run into each other.
Just bring your microphone every time.
Yeah. I would spoke on my iPhone if I got I would just be on the spot. So Jim Carrey, if none of you or some of you haven't heard his commencement speech at Maharishi University, it is one of the most incredible speeches because he is authentic him. Yeah. Like from the dialed in energy, connected, just aware human, and the funny, jokey like guy he used to be, like to free people up from concern. That was his mission, to free people from concern, and that's why he built the Jim Carrey character. And then he had to go find him. So Jim Carrey, Milton Hershey. Oh, I have a lot of them. That's why I'm just. I'm trying to figure out who would be so interesting to talk to. So Milton Hershey, for me, represents a defiant guy who had this insane belief that didn't need to see it to believe it. Like, Milton Hershey built a town before he had a chocolate bar. Hershey, Pennsylvania he had like thousands of tries. And every chocolate expert came to him. And I've been studying Milton Hershey for a long time. So by the way, if you want to study business, don't read business books. Read guys who changed the game. Read their biographies. Read the men who they were and how they became who they were and the tries and this. Don't go on some douchebag who's got a jet and a Lamborghini on Instagram. Like, because he's probably a dick to his wife anyway. Like, go for, not to say Milton Hershey wasn't. Right. And that's Jim Carrey wasn't. There's incredible parts about these men. So Milton Hershey would be another one. And I just want to ask him, like, what were you feeling inside when all those experts, you said, create a milk chocolate bar and, make it so it doesn't melt instantly. And they're all like, it's not possible. And they fired them and was like, fuck off. It's possible. I just gotta find the right guy who can believe with me that it's possible and use his talent to figure it out, which he did, obviously, and changed the game, changed the world, changed an entire town, changed lives of millions and millions of people forever. Right. And it's incredible. So Milton Hershey would be the one. And then the name that keeps popping up, and I'm like, I love this guy's, I don't know. I don't mean to say I don't know. I'm looking back at my bookshelf. I have so many incredible biographies of early industrialists and Gilded Age guys, and honestly, the one that keeps coming up is William Randolph Hearst. Oh, really? Yeah, he's an asshole. He's a giant baby. He's a egotistical maniac. He's an insecure prick. Like, he's all those things. Yeah. And he also had a vision. And he ruthlessly executed on it. And I don't love the man who he was as a newspaper owner and baron. Right. I love who he was as a guy who said anything's possible. And forget about, like, his dad was wealthy and his mom was wealthy and they funded everything. Yeah, but if you've ever been to Hearst Castle and you've seen the incredible magic that he created there, there's something that I would love to talk to him at like when he died in his 80s, and ask him about his regrets. Because in order to compete with the newspapers, I mean, he started yellow journalism. He started lying. He did all those things just to make sure that he was number one, so he wouldn't look like an idiot and his mom would love him. I mean, that's terrible. Wow, he shaped the nation. He influenced the Spanish-American War. I mean, I have 50 pounds of books behind me on William Randolph Hearst. I'm fascinated by the visionary as far as the art collector, the guy who built these incredible estates all over the world, especially Hearst Castle in San Simeon. And I completely dislike the man he was in business. And I'd love to talk to him about those juxtapositions of how he was such an incredible, like, friend to people and how he maintained that life. And then this dark, like, the opposite side. Crazy. Yeah. So I think he'd be really fascinating. Cornelius Vanderbilt, the original, would be another. I'm just fascinated by those guys that, like, back then, remember, think about it, no cell phone, no internet, no telephone, no nothing. Like, no, it's not the instant like you're talking about. Right. These guys built empires, changed the planet.
Yeah.
I think that's just incredible.
I think those are great. I love the whys too that you put in there because that's the power behind finding, and that just speaks volumes about what the Men on Purpose course is probably dives deep into, is that it's the journey and it's the flaws and the successes that make the man.
Yeah. And look, there's an analogy I want to leave people with. And by the way, if you want to listen to people changing the game, listen to the podcast, How I Built This on NPR. It's fantastic.
Oh, perfect.
And it is like, you want to know how businesses are built. Like, these are people that weren't that educated or smart or bright. So I'll leave people with this analogy, visual, whatever you want to call it. And I love this. And I built a lot of the company's cores and curriculum around this philosophy, that so many people told me that I needed to change from the time I got kicked out of freaking preschool, man. Like, I was always this defiant
He's a booger eater.
No. I just questioned everything. I was curious. And then instead of fueling the curiosity, they chastised it. And so,
right.
A lot of people throughout my whole life have told me, you got to change, you got to change, you got to change. And I thought, how am I supposed to change who I am? I think I just have some pieces of me that just aren't me anymore, right? They served me for a while and they just aren't me. And it reminded me of this story I heard about Michelangelo in an art class that I really loved in high school, taught by a really cool professor that didn't register to me until like 5-6 years ago, or maybe a little bit more. And it was like, Michelangelo was asked, how did you create the David? And he said, I didn't create the David. I just chipped away the pieces of marble that weren't him. And David was there. He was standing in there. He was in the marble already. And I thought, oh my God, that's us. That's us. That's us. Our programming and our traumas and our bullshit from the past and our parents' stuff that they put on us and our belief patterns and whatever. All that stuff is the marble that isn't us anymore when we have this understanding that we need to start making some shifts and some evolutions in our life. And when we realize that the formula we've been running is not the formula that can get the result that we know is possible. And so the whole program is not built to change you. It's built to help you, like, confidently and cognizantly remove the pieces of marble that are no longer you. It's just to allow the authentic you to be revealed. And so for anybody that's thinking like I'm a tough case, or you don't know my trauma, Ian, I've been through some shit. What I say is, great. And your stuff has happened and it's not happening currently. And if it is happening currently, then you have to be the one that empowers yourself to move on from a situation that's happening currently that doesn't serve you. And at that point, when you move on and that stuff is in the past, whether it's an hour ago or 10 years ago, you can start to cut ties from it influencing your present moment and creating a future for you. That's your responsibility. Or you can blame it. Either way, do the work, right? Or stop complaining. Do the work or stop complaining.
That is the perfect way to end this. Ian, it has been such an honor to have you on. Make sure you go on to menonpurpose.net. You can find out more. Definitely dive deeper into it. Ian, thanks for your time today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening and supporting the Forged in the Fires podcast with Fireman Rob. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast, and please share this episode with a friend or family. To find out more about Fireman Rob or reach out about a question, go to www.firemanrob.com. Until next time, live your life forged in the fires.